In August 1953, tanks rolled through the streets of Tehran. Mobs, some paid, some genuine, clashed in the capital. By the time the smoke cleared, Iran's democratically elected prime minister was under arrest, and a monarch loyal to Western oil interests was back on his throne. This wasn't a spontaneous uprising. It was a coup, planned in Washington and London, executed by the CIA and Britain's MI6, under a code name, Operation Ajax. It's one of the most consequential covert operations in modern history, and its aftershocks are still being felt today, from the streets of Tehran to the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. To understand 1953, you have to understand oil. For decades, the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, a British-controlled firm, later known as BP, extracted staggering wealth from Iranian soil while paying Iran a fraction of the profits. Iranians worked in dangerous conditions for low wages, while executives in London grew rich off resources under their own ground. In 1951, Iran's parliament elected Mohammad Mossadegh as prime minister. A European-educated lawyer and fierce nationalist, Mossadegh made a promise that electrified the country. He would nationalize the oil industry and return control and profit to the Iranian people. Parliament backed him unanimously. For the first time, a Middle Eastern nation had stood up to a Western oil monopoly and won, at least on paper. Britain was furious. It organized a global boycott of Iranian oil, freezing Iran out of international markets and crippling its economy. But nationalizing oil wasn't illegal. It was Iran's sovereign right. Britain needed another way to reverse it. Britain's own intelligence service, MI6, began plotting to remove Mossadegh. But Britain couldn't act alone. Its influence in Iran was too resented, and the Truman administration in Washington was reluctant to get involved in what looked like old-fashioned colonial oil politics. Everything changed in 1953 when Dwight Eisenhower entered the White House. His administration was gripped by Cold War anxiety. British officials reframed their pitch. This wasn't about oil anymore. It was about stopping Iran from falling to communism, with the Soviet Union sitting right on its northern border. It worked. The CIA agreed to join the operation. Kermit Roosevelt Jr., grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt, was sent to Tehran to run it on the ground. The plan: discredit Mossadegh, manufacture unrest, bribe politicians and military officers, and pressure the Shah, Iran's young, wavering monarch, into dismissing him. The first attempt in mid-August 1953 failed. The Shah issued a decree firing Mossadegh, but Mossadegh's supporters got wind of it. The plot was exposed. The Shah panicked and fled the country entirely, first to Baghdad, then to Rome. For a moment, it looked like the operation had collapsed. But Roosevelt didn't stop. Working with paid crowds, sympathetic army officers, and a network of local agents, the CIA and MI6 orchestrated a second wave, street demonstrations that turned violent, portraying Mossadegh as losing control of the country. Tanks moved. Soldiers loyal to the Shah surrounded Mossadegh's residence. On August 19, 1953, Mossadegh's government fell. He was arrested, later tried, and sentenced to 3 years in solitary confinement, followed by house arrest for the rest of his life. The Shah returned from Rome within days, restored to power not by his people, but by 2 foreign intelligence services. For the next 26 years, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi ruled as Shah with increasingly authoritarian power. Western nations, especially the U.S., backed him closely. Arms deals, oil concessions, and Cold War alliance all flowed through the relationship secured by the coup. Domestically, the Shah built a secret police force, SAVAK, notorious for surveillance, censorship, and torture of political dissidents. Oil wealth funded rapid modernization and a glittering elite, while much of the population saw few of the benefits, and any organized political opposition, left-wing or Islamist, was ruthlessly suppressed. The very democratic institutions Mossadegh represented, a free press, an independent parliament, the rule of law, never really recovered. And the resentment simmered for a generation. By the late 1970s, that resentment boiled over. In 1979, mass protests swept Iran, uniting secular nationalists, leftists, and religious conservatives against the Shah. He fled the country, this time for good. The revolution that followed installed an Islamic republic under Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. Months later, militant students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding American diplomats hostage for 444 days, a direct response, in the students' own framing, to decades of American support for the Shah, rooted in 1953. Historians still debate how directly Operation Ajax caused the 1979 revolution, but its legacy is undeniable. The CIA itself acknowledged the operation internally for decades before declassifying documents in 2013. The line from 1953 to today is direct. The Islamic Republic that emerged from 1979 has spent over 4 decades in open hostility with the United States. Sanctions, proxy conflicts, and a nuclear standoff that has repeatedly brought both countries to the edge of war. Tensions over the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for global oil shipping, echo the very resource conflict that started it all. Who controls Iran's oil, and who benefits from it? Every time an Iranian official invokes decades of Western interference, they are pointing back to August 1953, the month a democracy was overthrown to protect an oil contract. It's a reminder that covert operations don't end when the credits roll. Sometimes their consequences play out for 70 years, and counting. If you want more untold stories that shaped our world, hit subscribe. Warwick uncovers the secrets history tried to bury, 1 week at a time.